This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you.
Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. We've got a good one today. We've got the man that caught over 220-something pounds of fish in 2 days. He's going to be coming to us live from the water, a different body of water.
People who fish like to fish.
And he likes to fish. And we're going to talk to Jacob Wheeler here in about 10-15 minutes and get his take on what's going on at the SLR. And once again, man, they're wearing that place out. But there's plenty of fish to go around, Matthew.
Yeah, I would love to know how that works. Like,
what do you mean?
So I think they have 95 miles of river that they can fish, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking with some people because I've been keeping a close eye on this. Well, I'll be keeping a close eye on this: the Toyota Series, the Pro Circuit, the Elite Series, and the College National Championship.
A lot of stuff going on.
I believe
man.
There's one of those on all of the St. Lawrence River out of different sections of it.
Yeah.
But I've been keeping my eye on it because I got the Open there, and it just happens to be the last one. God, I hope Canada's open by then. But I was like, how does this work? So, like, you've got the 95 miles of the river and stuff. I assume they can't go way out into the lake and stuff. I've never not seen anybody in the lake. Ontario.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
like, is it a deal like salmon where they all, like, run to the same areas to spawn? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, out of 95 miles, are there, like, 8 fertile spawning habitats where there's thousands of these smallmouth and they're hooking... Not them, I'm just saying in general, because there's a lot of recreational traffic, a lot of people fishing. Are you hooking notable percentages of the big fish that are all congregated in one prime area due to current break, bottom composition, whatever? Or are there just so many fish in that thing that now obviously you're going to have areas that they're more concentrated than others, but are they spawning over this entire stretch of things? And in reality, they're catching 0.001% of the 5-pounders that are on the St. Lawrence River. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really understand, like, the fish population per catching. But then you look at it, I was going back and going over some of the old Elite Series stuff since they've been there since 2013. And it's like every year they're like, it can't get any better. They can't get any bigger. And then the next year it's like, it's bigger and better. And then, it can't get, and it's one of those things where it's like, what is this? Is this, you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, can you beat them up? Is it the same fish that are getting caught over and over? Are there miles and miles and miles of fish that are spawning and no one's molested them because they're spawning deeper and it's just so much vast? I mean, is it that much of a fish factory?
Yeah.
Or are they keying in on the very few areas where all the big ones are?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you go up to Alaska and you go during, like, the silver salmon or the pink run or something, you're like, God, how is there water? There's so many fish. But then there's vast expanses where there's nothing because they're all going to the same spot. I'm not saying a smallmouth is a salmon. I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting to see how it develops due to the pressure and the number of events, as you mentioned, that are going to take place on the SLR. All right, we're going to have Jacob on here in a few minutes. Several things to address. First, I want to let everybody know out there, there's been some discussion. I received some text. I also received a couple of emails about the potential purchase by Strike King of Zoom baits. And I have reached out to key players at Strike King, and right now there is no comment.
Purchase of Zoom baits by Strike King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what I said?
I don't know. I thought maybe you might have said Strike King by Zoom, but it's
No. It's Strike King. The people are claiming that Strike King has purchased Zoom. And what I did was I reached out to key people at Strike King.
And found no truth in that basis.
Yeah. As of now. Now, that could change in 30 minutes or 30 days. Who knows?
Or 30 years or never.
It could be. But as of right now, there is no statement or release or information or anything that any of the key people at Strike King would comment on as far as that situation. So there you have it. Did a little homework on that. That's the result of that. That transaction, as of right now, has not occurred. Let's see here. The second thing, the merch. A lot of people are wanting to know about the merch. When is the merch going to open up? We're going to open up the week after
the 4th of July.
4th of July weekend.
We have the... there's one design I need you to look at. I feel like the fish may be too prominent in it. There's a shape of
I thought we were ready to go.
Shirt. No, we are ready to go. It's actually a new site, an easier site. I had to take the merch that I had some leftover buffs from BTL buffs from the Classic.
Yeah.
And I think there's like 20 or 30 hats left with the white back, and sent those back. So they're going to put them back into the inventory. The not Uncle Frank. The Day 4 with Frank Scalish shirt looks good.
Yeah.
My favorite color is 7 shirt looks great. We've got a couple a youth t-shirt, a youth long sleeve, an AFCO UV sun hoodie, and then a couple just different colors of hats that seem to be popular. So
cool.
We'll open that back up, and then it won't be open again until the fall when we'll do some hoodies. Like, it's all hot weather gear stuff.
So we'll have a
different designs.
Fall, winter, Christmas order.
Yeah, that'll work.
Nice gifts. So that is in the works. So look for the merch store to open up the week after the 4th of July. And how long will it be open? The same amount of time? Like a restricted number of days?
We haven't really talked about that. It kind of just depends on how long we want.
We'll get into that.
But so the way that works is when you order it, then once the store closes, then they build the garments based on the orders. Okay. So you can't like open it for months because you order it and then.
Well, for sure, a few weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
All right, 2 weeks at least.
Everyone seems happy. The hat is obviously lucky. I just reposted on my Instagram account a gentleman who caught a 460 in Ohio, largemouth in Central Ohio. What has heard of it? Had over 12 pounds of largemouth in Ohio. So clearly, the hat is working. There are other celebrity figures such as Travis Manson with Smallmouth Crush, who's been seen sporting the BTL hat.
Nice. Nice. Does he have any merch? Does he have merch?
Yeah. He's got the merch. He's kind of gone through some different logos. I think it's like the interlocking hearts now. It says Smallmouth Crush on it. No, that might have been the early. Early logo. I think he's got some new ones. Yeah, everyone's got their own little merch side hustle. I need to start repping other people's merch hustles because I've been very thankful for the people that have repped the BTL stuff.
Yeah.
I gave a couple of hats to all the Bass Tank guys when I was there.
All right. Very cool. Speaking of Frank Scalish, I want to let everybody know in less than 8 hours, we initially were going to offer this service, the locker room one-on-one with Frank Scalish was going to be for the first 25 people, and then we were going to go from there. All right. In less than 8 hours, we sold out that quick. So we're going to continue to take entries. I'm actually going to try and work on the scheduling. What's really cool about this, Matt, it's from all over the country. Mm-hmm. California, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, Alabama, Florida, Indiana, Oklahoma. It's phenomenal the number of states that people reside in that want Frank's help. So Frank was ecstatic. He couldn't believe that it sold out in less than 8 hours, but that is going to be money well spent with that time that you're going to get with Frank to make you and help you catch more fish with whatever you want to talk to him about from a fishing standpoint. So if you weren't one of the first 25, and I'm going to be working over the next couple of days getting in contact with those 25 people, if you were not one of those 25, go ahead and sign up because we're not going to quit after 25 people. We're going to keep it going. It's just those first 25 people are kind of like the priority list that got the special rate to be the first 25 people. So continue. If you're interested in having that one-on-one video session with Frank. Continue to fill out the form, and we will be in touch and be in contact. But can't thank those 25 people enough for stepping up and really want to take part in this creation that Frank has mastermind, and it's going to be really cool to pull it off. All right, now, yesterday I failed to mention, dude, this is something, and how you're over 35, right?
Yeah, barely.
Okay. You probably don't remember this, but there was something that occurred 35 years ago yesterday that I forgot to mention that was a really, really cool part of my life in my early years.
1985?
Yeah. Any idea what it was? It had to do with baseball, of all things.
Something really cool in your life in the early years?
Yeah.
You played for
It was
OU?
inspiring. No.
You met someone?
I probably did, but...
No, I have no clue.
Do you remember or ever remember hearing about Mark the Bird Fidrich?
Can't say that I have, Mark.
You haven't, really?
Mark the Bird Fidrich?
Yeah.
No. Is he a baseball player?
He was a baseball player. He's a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
No.
And he was very quirky. He had these really kind of bizarre tactics that took place while he was on the mound and during the game. And 35 years ago yesterday, there was a game at home at the old Tiger Stadium that he pitched against the New York Yankees. And he beat the Yankees, I think it was like 5-1. But it was the first time that the crowd did not leave because they wanted him to come out of the dugout for a standing O. It was a bizarre situation because the crowd wouldn't leave. They wouldn't leave. And they were cheering after the game. The game was completely over, beat the Yankees. I think he threw a 7-hitter or something like that. But he went on to be 19-9, and he started this new craze. And the reason that he was called Mark the Bird Fidrich is because he was actually on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Big Bird.
Interesting.
Because he had the fro. But he was one of these guys.
I think I've maybe.
Yeah. He was one of these guys that really did things on the mound. That
Unorthodox.
Very unorthodox, and did some things that people really weren't used to.
I got you.
All right? So it got me thinking. And Mark the Bird Fidrich was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible what this guy did on the mound, but he was kind of a one-hit wonder. Mm-hmm. He was like here, and then his follow-up season was okay, and then he just kind of disappeared. All right? Just kind of disappeared. Is there anybody in the fishing world that you can remember that was kind of quirky, that kind of had that different type of moxie about him, that really made some waves in the industry, and then suddenly they're gone?
Schwinkbeck. He had the hockey.
He was kind of quirky.
He had the hockey jersey. He's sinking multiple boats every tournament. He kind of had the attitude. He caught him good.
Bo on the instant feedback or on the comments says he talked to the baseball. Yes, he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the obvious one,
Michael.
Golly, Bennett.
Michael Bennett. Won $1 million.
But he wasn't really quirky. He was just kind of quiet. And
how about Remitz?
himself.
Somebody said Remitz.
Yeah, he stuck around for a long time, though. He was around in...
It wasn't one and done.
No, he was around for 2006, a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a full career and still
How about Mark Kyle? You remember Mark Kyle?
I don't really remember. No, he was... Greg Gutierrez?
A little bit. He kind of hung around a little bit. Chad Griffin?
Mike Reynolds. Champion
Mike
guy.
Reynolds, yeah.
Won the tournament.
He
very outgoing, ran the Stars and Stripes
then all of a
stuff.
sudden he was done.
Well, I mean, you're throwing in the caveat of that was like made a splash was different.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's 20 guys every single year that come and go that you're like, oh, that guy hasn't been here for 3 tournaments. I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, I'm fully well aware of that too. But I'm talking about, guys that stick out.
Mike Reynolds is a good one. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's been a number over on the FLW side too.
Doc Merkin.
Yeah, but I mean, no disrespect to Doc Merkin. I loved the guy, but he didn't exactly make waves with the rod and reel as far as the catching. Like, there's not a Doc Merkin moment.
Yeah. Mark Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, he caught the, 14.9?
Yeah.
But he was around for a long time. Like, you could say Charlie Hartley, but Charlie's not gone anywhere. He's made a full career out of this.
Yeah.
You're not talking about a one-hit wonder. You're talking about like
No.
someone who was just smoking hot for a couple years and then kind of faded away.
Yeah. And part of Fidrich's
honestly,
problem...
I got the number one guy.
Who's that?
It's Dave Wolak.
Oh.
I mean,
that's a good one.
Dave Wolak, 100%. If you take Michael Bennett out of the equation, I mean, you got a rookie of the year, a guy who won, who was a poster child for Yamaha. Now, I know he's still doing some TV stuff and has come back and fished a little bit, but I mean, Dave Wolak was like the it guy for a couple years.
Yeah.
We would roll with him too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that dude would be a professional fisherman until he was 60 years old.
Man, was he intense.
He was a conspiracy theorist. Straight up, I'll say. He was a conspiracy theorist.
Wow. Anyway, that just kind of solidified how old I am when I started thinking about Mark the Bird Fidrich. But he had arm issues, too. You know, injuries kind of caused his downfall. But anyway, yeah, that was 35 years ago. I believe yesterday when he got the standing O. And there was actually some video footage on some obscure website that I found because I was intrigued by the whole Mark the Bird Fidrich.
Because, I mean, there's a bunch, though.
I still have that Sports Illustrated cover.
I mean,
up in the office.
I mean, you could say Joe Thomas, but then he transitioned into industry. You could say Fishburne, but he stayed in the industry. You could say Dustin Wilkes, but he's still designing baits and is still relevant and, you know, still active in the industry and has TV shows. I mean, there's a bunch of guys who were known as tournament anglers who no longer are known as tournament anglers, but are still, look at Frank Scalish, but are still very active behind the scenes in the industry. 99% of people wouldn't have known that Frank was still making a good living in the industry. Yeah. They just be like, well, what happened to Frank Scalish? He's not on tour anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's dozens and dozens of those guys.
I should try to get a hold of Wolak. It's been 10 years since I've talked to Wolak.
He's probably sitting in his basement with aluminum foil on his head. I didn't mean that bad way. Man. I just remember the last couple years on tour, he's a conspiracy theorist.
Oh my God.
I think he's into like the aliens and all that stuff. I could be wrong on that.
No? I don't think so.
Maybe the government could just remember, he always had wild stuff. He'd be like walking across a parking lot going, it's all ending.
Oh. Wow. I'll work on that.
I'm going to get a call from the East Coast. I'm going to have to screen my calls now.
I'm going to see if I can get Wolak on the show.
I said, I'm susceptible to that, though, because Travis Manson from Smallmouth Crush, I have a 6-month supply of pork and beans now because of him, and none of this stuff ever happened.
All right. We'll see. We'll see what that's all about. All right, folks, going to take a break. Come back with Jacob Wheeler here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned.
Fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to active imaging and new active target live sonar, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor. For a limited time, building the ultimate fishing system will be easier on your wallet. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, active target sonar, or live side sonar, and save up to $800.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big,
and some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us. But none of them knew us.
None of them were us.
Except for one.
Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
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 AFCO. Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
Everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking digging. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
I think you get the point.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Don't forget, folks, short week this week. Got the big tournament down in DFW.
And we're going filming tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to try and get some pretty cool stuff tomorrow on the water.
I thought of another one, Gabe Boulevard. Now, I thought he had like a boat accident or something, but dude, you look at he was here around for like 4 years, perennial qualifier, top 10s. I think he made 4 Forest Wood Cups in a row with a couple top 10 finishes in the Angler of the Year.
Yeah.
He's one of those young dudes along with Michael Bennett from the West Coast. And then I think he stopped fishing right around 2010. Like I said, didn't he have a deal he got chucked out of the boat or something?
I think so.
It took him a long time. And then, like I said, there's a bunch of guys. You could say, Luke Gritter, Corey Waldrop, guys that are on the Elite Series. Now, Luke made the class a couple years ago through the Bass Nation. I remember Corey Waldrop was the first time I think I'd ever heard of the Academy H2O Express crankbait.
Jason Quinn.
He had a top 10.
One.
Yeah, Jason Quinn is a great one, too.
Yeah. All right. It is time to bring in our guest. The man just absolutely smashed him.
Should we just remind him he's just a year away from being? He's got to keep catching them. You don't want to end up on that list.
I don't think he's going to end up on that list. All right. Let's bring him in. Jacob, how you doing, man?
Really good, boys. Man, I'm just out here enjoying the weather. It's a beautiful day in New York.
Very nice. Now, where are you at today?
I'm actually up at Champlain. Since I had 2 days off, I decided, we're only an hour and a half from Lake Champlain from Messina, where we're taking off at over there in the St. Lawrence River. So rather than sit around and do something over there, I said, hey, I'll come over and sort of pre-practice for the event that's coming up here. Our next event's here in the beginning of August.
All right, man. Kind of sum it up for the folks. Just an incredible 2 days on the SLR. And Matt has got some stats that he's going to throw out here in a minute. But I don't think we've seen anything like that before.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely insane. I think we just hit it absolutely perfect. There's just a lot of really big fish shallow and, some awesome fish catches. But then, I caught my second biggest smallmouth I ever caught in my life at 6'6". And just a lot of 4, 5, 6 pound fish out there on that river right now.
One of the things that I'm learning is if you golf, which we'll bring it back to, but this is an easy comparison. So I went out and I shot a 78. Okay, well, you weren't playing under the rules and you know what I mean? Like one of those deals. And then if you were playing PGA rules, you actually shot like a 95. With the drops and all that stuff and everything. Well, you're sitting there and you're watching all these guys hook up. And there's two things that surprised me. One is No one hit 50 fish in a day. And you would think like, okay, I'm just saying if I'm out there hooking them like that, I'm going, dude, I caught 104 pounders today. And then you look at it and it was like 47, 48. So you catch fewer fish than you realize. And then you realize based on the time, you guys are only fishing for 7.5 hours. And I went over this a little bit yesterday and broke it down. But I mean, time management to try to catch as many fish with as many variables, hook, fish fighting, lack of time, the current, the weighing, all that, like time management in this tournament seems to be paramount to success.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything right now for sure. I mean, it came down this event and I think the next three, we have an hour of free run time. So then it came down to the fact of, okay, hey, listen, a lot of the guys are running 50, 60, 70 miles away. Some guys are even running farther. So you lose time from running. And, then on top of that, getting those fish in a little bit quicker. I mean, out of 47 bass on the first day, I think I had a 3.5 pound average. I mean, that's insane on 47 bass. Having over a 3.5 pound average or just right around there is pretty crazy. And obviously there's a lot of big ones mixed in there as well. And so, I mean, I think that's a big deal. It's easy to get caught up in the lull, and that's the problem. In a lull on the St. Lawrence River right now is not catching them every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you can get caught up with a fish that you're looking at, and it's a big one, and you can't get it to bite, and sometimes you just got to keep going. You got to be disciplined, and you got to realize there's a lot of things. Time management is everything in this event, and tomorrow in the championship round, I'm sure those guys are going to absolutely destroy them today with the conditions we have. I assume it's probably pretty flat over there as well. If it is flat, then boys are going to just be reeling them in, and I'm sure it'll probably take close to 100 pounds. But that is definitely the most important thing this week. Time management.
All right, you got some stats, man?
Yeah, well, I said that because I just looked at kind of the day two highlights, and I can go back and do more of this when replays and stuff are out. But I mean, it took you 28 seconds to capture it, but then it did a jailbreak, so it was actually 35 seconds from the time you hooked a 5-6 on spinning tackle till the time you had it in the boat. Which, I mean, if you've ever caught smallmouth, there you are. 35 seconds that's not very much time for a 5-6, and by the time you weighed it and had it back in, now you were like showing it off and knew that you had already in, so you weren't like hustling. It was 1 minute and 6 seconds. If you take it off, you hook a 5-6, land it, weigh it, and are back up fishing in 53 seconds, which is pretty impressive. Then later on, you catch a 4-3 from the time you set the hook till the time it's in the boat is 4.60 seconds. And you even show that fish off, talk about the little spot on his head, show off it's done. You know what you're doing. But you're 41 seconds on a 4-pounder right there. Like, I mean, I do some of the others, and they're averaging like a minute 30 to 2 minutes and 10 seconds for their fish. So if you are averaging a minute and they're averaging 2 minutes, I mean, that doesn't take a lot of math to figure out if you're both catching 40 fish and you're landing, weighing, and releasing yours a minute quicker than the average competitor, you're fishing an extra 40 minutes out of the day. And if you're averaging a bass every 8 minutes, you're catching 5 or 6 more fish than the 4 to 5 more fish than the average competitor that are averaging 3.5 to 4 pounds. So just on your time management and fish landing, you're gaining 12 pounds a day over the field.
You got it. There's a lot to that. There is a lot to that. That's the reason, my equipment is definitely the key. If you can, I've learned if you can get those smallmouth to bite on a heavier line, you're way better off. I'm throwing 12-pound Suffix Advanced fluorocarbon, which is super strong. I'm actually only throwing 8-pound Suffix Nano Braid, and I'm throwing that on my 7.2 medium heavy action rod. But the thing is I'm throwing a little bit stouter rod. I can pull on them a little bit harder. Some of them I'm actually catching on casting gear. And that's really everything. You have to, I learned at Sturgeon Bay, you would watch those guys after the tournament, and I was throwing 12-pound line then. And if they will bite 12, you could reel them in a heck of a lot faster. You don't have to sit there but there is times I caught a few fish at Sturgeon Bay last year on 6 and even 4. There's times when you have to utilize that lighter line for the action of the bait because they're pressured. but you have to realize pretty quickly when those scenarios you need that lighter line, and then when you can get away with 12 or even more.
All right, Jacob, what is the scoop on the flogger?
You know, it's interesting because I'm not by no means am I a flogger master by zero means of imagination. I think of guys like Chad Pitkins. I think of a handful of guys like Adam, Heath Wagner up in Michigan. Ryan Stead, and I had a buddy of mine hit me up and told me that Ryan Stead actually coined the name flogger. And those guys were actually buying them from Italy. They found them and selling them to LureNet back like 20 years ago. Now, I sort of did some research as well. So some people actually, Dan Vasor, and I'll send you guys the picture, sent me a picture of some of what looked like his version of a wood box with a glass bottom to it that he said he was been looking at bass for 50 years. So this is something, and then I had talked to Boyd recently, and Boyd had said something about that as well. So where Billy Westmoreland has been doing this for back in the 80s, he was doing this same thing on Dale Hollow, catching the big smallmouth that were down there deeper, they could see them. So this is something that's not by any means a new deal. This is something that's been around for, sounds like 50 years some guys have been doing this. But it obviously is super effective on clear bodies of water, where you can visually see. This is really all it's doing is just taking the glare off the water. On flat, calm days, you really don't need it. I mean, it can help a little bit. It doesn't really magnify much. It just really just takes the glare off the water. So if there's a little bit of wind or a ripple, you can now be able to look down there and see, okay, hey, there's a fish there, or hey, there's not, or hey, there's a wolf pack of them there. And surprisingly, when you're in 15, 16, 17 foot of water, especially on St. Lawrence River, you can see down that far, 20 foot of water, especially when the sun's high. I mean, you could literally see wolf packs down there and be like, oh, yeah, there's 10 of them down there. Okay. And back off and reel down and set the hook, And the thing is some people have asked me this too. They ask me, like, why are you not utilizing all these electronics, all this? Well, this is the thing. Electronics only do so much. And you think that bass can't hide from electronics, you're wrong. They, especially in current situations, they sit so tight to the bottom, you won't even be able to see them. Where you have like active target or live scope. When those fish are suspending fish, yes, you're going to be able to see those fish. Those fish are tight to the bottom, you're not seeing those fish.
Wow.
Remember a couple shows ago I started running the Phil Swift. It even works underwater.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like the flogger, I feel like I just picture in my head Phil Swift holding this thing at a rickety boat looking, going, you can even see underwater. And then pull it up with the flogger and be, now 2 for 1, get 2 floggers for 100. It's like the whole name and everything.
That's pretty good, man.
I just feel like the flogger, I feel like Phil Swift would be able to sell a lot of floggers.
No doubt.
The Flex Seal guy.
That's a good one, man.
Hey, how important is the bait, Jacob? Let's be honest. Is it where you put it or is it how you put it? We hear a lot about the max scent. We see the guys doing the Guggen stuff. It's like, holy cow, this guy caught one not on max scent, or holy cow. But then we see like you with chunks of pink plastic on, and some of it's on a net and some of it's on a drop shot. Is that like a visual thing? You see all sorts of crazy stuff. Is it getting it in the spot or is it actually the bait?
It's so interesting because each smallmouth is so different, just like a largemouth is. There's smallmouth that you'll sit there and you'll fish for them, and they're just you pitch the brightest thing in there, and they'll go down there and just doink, bite it. It's a visual thing. You can see it. You know where it's at, especially when you're fishing pretty deep. You're talking, 10, 12, 14 feet. You see the bait pretty easy.
He'll come back in a second.
Between a few different things, I've been throwing a rattle in the head from Guggen baits. I've been throwing that, more of a natural color, and then I'm throwing more of those brighter colors that from other like Ned rig style baits. And like you said, drop shot and really a Ned rig is really all I've been for the most part throwing. I've caught a few actually yesterday on a Tokyo rig on a casting rod, and that was sort of unique because I felt like I could get them. Obviously, that one I caught in 4 seconds. That was the advantage, that if I can catch them on a casting rod, you set the hook, you boat flip them, you got it on a 50-pound braid, and you got it on a 4-carbon leader, and you get them in the boat. So, but it is interesting because there's each each bait they react completely differently to. And that's a pretty big deal that I've sort of experimented with a few things, and I feel like I've got a program to understand the fish of like, oh, he's not going to bite the drop shot. That one's not going to deal with it. Or man, that one's, the way he's set up, he's going to bite the drop shot way over a Tokyo rig or over, a Ned rig. And so they're just sort of like understanding the fish and their demeanor and figuring out how to get those fish to bite.
So
Wow.
should I ask the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there's a couple people on the internet who are saying, dude, you're just going to go catch the same 47 fish that you've caught already on the final day. Okay, how does that work? Lay that out. And you're obviously dealing with spawning smallmouth. If you haven't fished smallmouth, I kind of experienced this on Douglas Lake. I got one that bit twice. Sometimes they're not the brightest crayons in the box. Sometimes you could either say they're just good parrots. They're protected their home. But kind of walk us through that scenario of you've got guys and you know where fish are on beds, and how is this re-catching them, not re-catching them? How is this played into it? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I didn't know how that was going to play out because, it's a catch-weight release event. Obviously, I've caught some fish and those fish are still there. And some of them aren't actually. Some of them are actually towards the end of the spawn, and some of them are actually have left their beds, and some of them are fresh. So it's really interesting. What I learned by my second day of looking at some of the fish that I had already caught was realizing how long it would take to get those fish to bite. And quickly and early on, I realized you're way better off fishing for fresh ones. And there was enough of them pulling up in new ones, and there were some wolf packs and stuff like that I realized if you're going to win this tournament, you're not going to win this tournament on fish that you have already caught. You're going to you're going to win the tournament on fresh fish that just pulled up. Now, don't get me wrong. There are no doubt smallmouth protect the heck out of their beds. No doubt they definitely do. But each one is unique. I had one that I caught, probably a 5-pounder, and I went and I fished down through there, and I found a new one, and I caught it like in 2 drops. It was a 5.6 or a 5.4, something like that. And I see the one that I had caught the day before, and I fished for it, and I'm like, dang, man, I could not. 20 minutes later, I did not get the sucker to bite. And I said, forget that. That is not the way to win this event. You're going to have to generate more bites. I'm not saying there will not have somebody that has a dumb 5-pounder or a dumb 3.5-pounder that's really wanting to bite it. But I don't think you're going to be able to keep up by trying to go through fish that have already been caught, because they're a lot harder to catch.
All right, man. I think everybody that's watching this or listening to the podcast afterwards or the replay, everybody for the most part knows what dialed in means. You've been dialed in numerous times in your career. How does this event compare to other events where you've been dialed in? Is this the most dialed in that you've ever been in an event?
I mean, I would say, I would not say I was most dialed in, but I definitely have an understanding of what they're doing and why in areas, and I feel like that's a big deal. That's no doubt.
Execution-wise, it's been flawless, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a. For some reason, I'm.
He's breaking up.
He is breaking.
I mean, dude, we had him for this long on Lake Champlain.
That's
let's
impressive.
be honest here. He's turned it into. That might be a reconnect issue, Mark.
Yeah.
It's getting gremlin-y. I guess we'll never know if he's dialed in.
No, he's. We are obviously not dialed in on the remainder of this call.
Drop him and see if he comes back so we could wrap it up.
Well, hopefully he'll come back here. Hang on a minute here. Okay. We'll see if he
I was
reconnects.
shocked that we got it that good. The guy was live from Lake Champlain. Like, if you've ever been there, there's long... I mean, it's one of the areas where you're like, hey, dude, if something goes wrong, we're swimming or walking.
Yeah. All right, here. I think we got him back here. You there, man? You there?
It gets scratchy. It just got scratchy all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know. And he's not there.
That's fine. You can call him after.
All right. Anyway, we did the best we can. Jacob, if you can hear, he might check in here in a minute. But
I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Sell issues.
Because I said, when you said, hey, he's fishing on Lake Champlain, I was like, oh. And then you're like, no, we still have him on.
We'll see if he checks back in. Anyway, I'll shoot him a text and say thanks. But that's pretty cool that we were able to get him on and on his way to the championship round. And it was pretty impressive to see him execute and do the things that he did on the water. Let's see, he's back now. You want
it
to try
looks
one more
fairly
time?
decent.
You back, man? Oh, he's muted. Hang on.
That was you, Mark.
All right, you back?
Yeah, we got you.
I had to run back. The wind blew me. It wasn't blowing fast enough, but it blew me to a place where I didn't have cell service. I had to run back to the spot.
Wow. So anyway, you were talking about you are the most dialed in ever. You said you didn't know, or you're just like, I'm always dialed in, Mark.
No, I feel like this one right here is unique. You have to catch so many so quick on the weight. I definitely feel very confident, but guys are just feel when I'm in. It's really anybody's ball game. It's going to be interesting to see what happens and transpires today to see how it all shakes out.
We're losing. I got one more question. Can you hit 200 pounds tomorrow?
Somebody could.
Wow. All right, man. Going to be fun to watch. Great job so far. Good luck to you on the final day, man. And we greatly appreciate it. I know the fans do also. You taking time out to be on the show.
No problem, guys. Appreciate y'all.
All right, man. Take care. There you have it, Jacob Wheeler. And greatly appreciate the effort that we tried on that one, man. There's not a whole lot of cell service up there, especially high-speed cell service. So there you have it. You think somebody's going to hit 200 in a day?
If the conditions are right, absolutely, because he definitely laid off. And John Cox definitely laid off. So you get good conditions and you get two guys that are on him. Did you not watch the end of the day yesterday?
Yeah.
John Cox was like, they're trying to figure out who's going to be 21st, but they had a mic on with John Cox and you hear this giggling. And I was like, where is this giggling coming from?
Yeah.
And it was John Cox who didn't have a hook in his bait and was swimming a 4-pounder around with 15 others that were swimming with it.
That's crazy.
So here's what I did. You get into the race where you got two guys that are pulling ahead, and I think it turns into a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously you're going to keep catching them. If you're approaching 200 and the next closest is like 120, like human nature, you're 80 pounds ahead. It's just human nature. You're not going to. Because you got it in the bag. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be swinging 3-0.
I get it. Yeah, that's...
but if you got... You're going to have... And obviously, it has looked as though... And we'll have to see what happens today. But Wheeler and Cox have figured that out. But, the entire process for Jacob Wheeler, he's getting more fishing time. Almost a half a period more...
That's some great analytics there, man.
Than other anglers.
Great stuff.
Now, I'm not saying all of them. Some guys have it figured out, but there are guys who are sitting there and it's like, zzz, and you're sitting there and you're like, well, you got 18 minutes left and you're 14 pounds behind and it's taking you 3.5 minutes to land this one. So let's just do the math here.
Yeah.
Statistically, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Speaking of math, I'm going to get into that here in a minute. We're going to take our final break, come back, wrap things up here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Inspired, pro designed, tested and proven by legends on the water, dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duck It Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action as a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough.
That's when I'm really, really, really on top of having my actions just perfect.
Big companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species.
There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day. It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get,
it's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
Guys, what makes our Spro lures beat the competition?
I mean, you have to admit, we nailed it with my McSticks and rock crawlers.
Man, we've all won money on my plugs.
My Wamic shop put fish in my boat.
One thing's for sure, we all count on our Spro lures to beat the competition.
Designing cutting-edge baits with some of America's top anglers. Spro lures beat the competition. To see the entire lineup, visit a retailer near you or spro.com.
The Ned rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
All right, we are back, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday. Mark and Matt. And my math is not very good. And I only went off of the message that I got. The Mark the Bird Fidrich thing, he actually started in 76. How many years is that?
That's old.
That's 45 years.
Yeah.
Instead of 35. So thank you, Frank, for correcting me. I just went off the message that I got. So 45 years, man. Yeah, I was like, what was I, 13 then?
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome. Anyway, next week, a couple of new things are going to get added. Besides the merch drop that we're going to do next week, we're bringing on a new sponsor just for a few months to help you guys out. I've negotiated a deal to where if anybody out there is looking for a boat cover, you're going to be able to get a boat cover or a car cover if you've got that special vehicle that you need covered. Oh, yeah.
I've never seen you drive it.
I don't drive it that much, especially
when my truck went out. Why didn't you offer your Mustang?
The car does not go in the rain. And I don't even let my kids drive that car.
Is it a stick shift?
No.
It's just
an automatic.
V8.
Yeah.
You're kind of a Mustang snob.
A little bit.
But
it's had some work done on it, too.
Don't the purists have to go with the stick shift?
Yeah, but you know why I didn't go with a stick? Because what leg do you operate a stick with?
The numb one?
The numb one. And if the numb one ever went too numb,
you would be able to drive it.
No. So that was why I went with the automatic.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to have some 15% off offers on boat covers and car covers.
Very nice.
For a short period of time. And we're going to kick that off next week. So look for that info. Next week also, if you're in the market for a reel, we got a deal on Duckett reels. $200 reel. All right. Buy one, get one free. That's going to kick off in July. The 200 series Paradigm reel, I think it's $199.95. You buy one, you get one free with the promo code that we're going to give you next week. So a lot of good stuff coming down. The second thing that we're going to do next week is, you remember the marketplace?
Yes.
We kind of kicked that off and goofed around with it.
You've been teasing that off and on for a year and a half.
We are going to kick that off. We have partnered up with a company, and we're going to have the owner of that company on next week to talk a little bit about what is going to go down with the marketplace and how we're going to tie that in and talk about what we're going to do. And it's going to give everybody an opportunity out there to sell their boat live on BTL and also get a tremendous amount of viewership on the website that all this stuff is going to be hosted on. So looking forward to having Michael on next week to talk about that. And we're going to kick off the marketplace next week.
I got it. Text or email, I think it was an email or text from a listener who was like, dude, I know you guys talk about bowling balls, but you can take your old, not good bowling balls, drill holes in them, and then put sections of PVC pipe in those holes. So it's basically like a giant spider block to create a fish habitat.
It's a great idea.
And then drop it.
It's a great idea.
And it works.
I've seen it done at Grand Lake before. I have. All right, this was 30 years ago. It's pretty cool. It's a good idea.
I mean, I imagine it'd be good for cranking, dragging.
Yeah, it's not going to move around.
No, it's easy to, you can just put it on the boat. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting way to combine bad bowling balls.
That's a good idea. I mean, people are sending me emails wanting to know what kind of bowling balls to get. So I'm going to respond to those today. And once again, Bass Boat Marketplace is who's coming on board with us. We've partnered with them, and very excited about getting them involved and working together with them to do live shows to where people out there have an opportunity to sell their boats out there live and get instant feedback and all the stuff that we do here. So
is this the last? This the last show we're gonna have then?
It's the last show before the holiday.
All right. So what are your thoughts on what you've seen at the St. Lawrence River?
Before we get into that, all right, let's talk about one other thing real quick.
Okay.
The John Cox situation.
Yeah, I've kind of been following it.
Yeah.
I've talked to a Bass official about it.
Yeah.
I know that there's been texts about it. They have an Elite Series text, group text.
Yeah. Yeah. So
basically,
I don't know what they're going to do.
Basically, what he was, in a very general reason.
Yeah.
It is currently off limits for the Bassmaster Elite Series. John Cox is fishing both. He's obviously fishing the BPT event this week, which he made the final round in, but he wanted the potential for the boundary to change to be able to fish both the Elite Series and this, because while it's not completely finalized, and I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, there's a chance that, he wouldn't get to drop that event for the Elite Series, because basically he would be DQ'd from that event because it would be considered fishing in an off-limits area, right? Fishing during off-limits, even though everything's above board.
Right.
So it would count as a DQ, not a zero.
And he wouldn't be able to drop a DQ?
Right. And I don't know if that's how Bass is running that, but that would make sense, because then otherwise, if you are allowed to drop a DQ, everyone gets a get-out-of-jail-free card. I'm fishing next to the dam. I'm fishing next to the water intake. I'm running. He said, not that I would, but I'm just saying, you get a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah.
It's different than, the missing one because they get a drop because one of the anglers had COVID earlier this year. So it really hurts his chances for the Classic if that's the way it goes. So he was kind of lobbying, hey, could we maybe make a boundary change deal to where I can slide in and fish one little stretch into BPT, make the most of it, get some points, but then not fish my way out of the Elite Series. But either way, it sounds like he's made the right decision this week as he's in the top 10. So I don't, like I said, that's the people that I've talked to. That's the side that I've gotten, the anglers that I've talked to about kind of, I mean, there has been a discussion about it.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Chris, we discussed the purchase yesterday for $1.05 billion.
See, people are saying that they shouldn't, that shame on Bass if they vote him out. I mean, the way I look at it is rules are rules, boundaries are boundaries, off limits are off limits. You know that this was a potential going in and you can't change it for one guy. Like, I know it's a cool story and I love John Cox and I wish he could fish every event, but like, dude, there's some stuff that is black and white and like off limits and boundaries and stuff like that. Like, that's black and white. That's just a bad deal. And you start changing it for one, then you have to change it for others. Bass is also in the middle of, you basically are running 3 different kind of tournament directors. There's not like a Warden Tripp right now. So it's a...
Did he have a choice?
He had a choice. Yeah, he either didn't fish this or he fished the elites or he fished the elites and that. So, I mean, I don't even think it's bad PR on Bass if they don't let him fish.
What about this? What if Bass would let him drop that one, even though he gets DQ'd? Let him drop the DQ and move on. That's what Jacob Zachary said.
I mean, that sounds fair, but then do you have to, if anyone else got DQ'd this year, do you have to let them drop their DQ?
Probably.
Like, let's say a guy,
Anybody else get DQ'd? I don't remember.
Who the hell knows? You never know with these things. You don't know who got fined, who gets DQ'd, who gets in trouble, none of that. You know why? Because there's not
hush-hush.
Well, because there's not a... You want the honest opinion? Not enough people care. Like, if there were 3 million people asking about this, then there would be enough independent journalists that would go and say, here's exactly what happened and why, right? Fair point?
No, that's fair.
Now, there's tens of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who care, but like, that has never been the TMZ stuff has never been I don't want to say the rules, have never been the focal point. Like, you can get a rule book of golf, right? You can get a rule book on all that stuff. Like, do you have a rule book on fishing?
Yeah.
Do you have one? Like, where is it? How many people have seen the official Elite Series rule book, the official BPT rule book? Like,
no, because you don't have a governing organization.
Can you order that? Can you get it?
That covers every aspect of tournament bass fishing.
I mean, the only reason I get it is because someone sends me the PDF under the table.
It's not under the table.
Well, they're,
You can look at the rules if you want to.
The rules that they get.
That the Elite Series guys get?
Yeah, there's like a couple page rules, and then there's the rules.
Those are public. It's public information.
Where are they?
They're on the website, aren't they?
They are?
I think so. Yeah.
And I want to see the BPT ones, too.
I don't know.
Those you can open up in a Word document and change. And then submit it back in, and it becomes a rule for that week. Then the next week, you can go back and...
Jeez. No, it doesn't.
Okay, where would I go? Elite?
I don't know.
Tournament. Elites. Bassmaster Elite Series. Tournament schedule, Marshall registration, Marshall guides. Pro payment, 2021 Elite Series rules. Here it is.
That's what I thought.
Compliance. Okay.
There's a bunch of rules on
stuff you sign. Goes through the Marshall stuff.
Yeah, it's public knowledge.
Registration, safety, sportsmanship, code of conduct. I've always thought this in the code of conduct was interesting. Publicly questioning or criticizing a tournament official or official decision, ruling, or penalty except through the proper channels. Do you know that was illegal to do?
Yeah, it's that way in most organizations.
Really? Public attacks through media, including social media, upon the integrity of bass rules or officials.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff here.
Somebody brought up the...
Abuse of tournament officials.
Yeah.
Volunteers.
Yeah.
Man, if you're abusing a volunteer at a bass event...
might have a few issues. Anyway, it was brought up. Remember the NC State baseball situation in the College World Series?
Okay, so I did not know this was available. So they even have penalties for code of conduct imposed. First offense, $250 to $500. Second offense, $1,000 to $2,500 fine.
Yeah.
I'd be done after that point. Third offense, not less than $5,000, not more than $10,000. Fourth
Yeah.
offense, possible suspension or ban from the Bassmaster Elite Series or other level of competition.
Yeah. That might be the Ike rule.
The number of offenses in the list refer to the violations of the course of an angler beginning with its effective date, April 28th, 2014.
Yeah, that might be the Ike rule.
And it goes through it goes through a lot of the stuff.
Anyway, when you start changing the rules or making exceptions, that's typically when organizations get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's an unfortunate situation, and I think everybody out there that enjoys professional bass fishing is a John Cox fan. Would you agree with that? I don't think there's anybody out there.
I've never met anyone who's like
I haven't
that
either.
John Cox guy. I can't stand him.
I mean, everybody admires what the guy is doing and what the guy
100%.
has done. So it's not a fan situation of thinking that, oh, well, that's not right. You know, blah, 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 blah. They should do this. They should do that. Everybody has their opinion. But I think when organizations, companies,
this is
get into a situation.
This is a 21-page Elite Series rule book. Has it always been? It hasn't always been out.
Yes.
100% it hasn't always been out.
100%. Yes.
It has?
Yes.
Have I been living under a rock?
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, it's been out there.
What about, look, I'll pull up my next page. Flex Seal. Major League Fishing. You think Major League Fishing has their rules?
I have not looked at those. I'm not aware of
Bass was actually easy to find.
Yeah.
That'd be a shout out to Chris Mitchell, I believe.
Well, I guess not.
Holy
'cause you
cow,
weren't
there's
able
a
to find them.
tab that says rules. Official rules updated 2/26/21.
Yeah.
Event format, competition. This is like multiple pages.
You need to do a
Red
little bit more
crest
research
format.
there, Matthew.
Well, here's where you get into trouble where I was saying there's a lot of tournament directors' discretions in the rules. Like, here's the things that you can't do, but then like the penalty is a lot of the penalties are at discretion.
Gray areas.
Gray areas.
Yeah.
That's where.
But the rules are cut and dry, but the penalties put in place or what might be defined by the tournament director, he has a little bit of flexibility in certain situations.
Event rules.
And I don't recall in the Elite Series rules if the penalty box is actually mentioned in the rules.
We need to do a show just on rules. Is that something you guys would be interested if I print this off and we go through it and we talk about the crazy rules or
that you may not even be aware of?
I think that might be a show.
Do you remember seeing the penalty box mentioned in the Elite Series?
Not when I was going through it, but yeah, I'll give them MLF credit here too. Here's the payout for Bass Pro Tour events as of February.
Yeah, see, JCX Fishing. You see his comment here, Matthew?
What?
Let me put it up. John knows the rules. Bass knows the rules. If you change it for him, you're setting yourself up for failure and a lot of disgruntled fishermen.
Yeah. Dude, we need a rules show.
That's kind of boring, though.
No, it's not.
Rules?
Is a rules show boring? I think it would be cool.
No, I just don't want it to get too beige. I'm sure we can make it very colorful.
We could do a rules segment then.
Yeah. I mean, it may turn into a whole show. I think you're onto something, though, taking that and printing it out and going through it and going, I never realized this. This is news to me. Anyway.
This is, okay, there's a bunch of weird rules in this.
Let's do it, man. Print it off. Don't print it off right now, but
yeah,
print it off and we'll do that. So next week, look for the schedule. I will have the schedule posted Sunday night once again for the following week. And I really hope everybody out there has a very safe 4th of July weekend. Enjoy the family get-togethers. Enjoy your family and be safe and have a great time. What are you doing, Matthew? Not sure yet?
No, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. But you don't know what you're doing.
No, I know what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, does it involve fishing?
No.
Do you stay away from the water on 4th of July weekend?
Yes.
Have you ever been on the lake on a 4th of July weekend?
Yes.
Wise choice?
Yeah, I was in a speedboat.
Oh, well, that's not fishing. That's a little different. All right. Now, here, I'm gonna throw it out there. We don't know if we're going to be able to do this tomorrow or not, but there is a slight chance. So everybody that's watching, there is a slight chance that we might be live from the water tomorrow. Just little clips, not a actual BTL show.
We are not like competing. Tomorrow is a catching trip.
Yes,
hopefully. Did you talk to your guy?
I did.
What did he say?
He's actually going out today to check it for us.
Wait, your guy is going out to check?
Yeah.
Wow. You got a good
he's
guy.
He's a good dude. Well, you know who it is? It's Jerry.
Can you book a trip with Jerry?
You can book a trip with Jerry. Jerry is helping us out. So we flashed up.
Mark, how do you book a trip with Jerry?
That's shameless. No. Jerry Taylor is his name. If you're looking for a striper guide on Lake Texoma in southern Oklahoma, definitely the guy that you need to get hooked up with. 580-564-6591. That's his phone number. The dude rocks. And yes, he's actually going out to fun fish today, and he's going to help us out.
If you go, can you take a cooler with some beer?
Yeah.
How many friends can you take?
Probably 6 people total.
I've never done that.
You need to do it.
I've never. I mean, I really enjoyed. I don't know. I mean, I've done the meat hunting trips out of Florida where they put everyone around the boat.
This is totally different.
Squid on, but I feel like this would be a little bit chiller.
Yeah, and what Jerry does, and we've talked about this previously, Jerry's all about the experience. It's not going out and getting your limit in 30 minutes and going back to the dock.
Did you know that in the rules it says the MLF official will hold the official scale by the handle only with both hands and position it at eye level?
Yeah, that's why they do that.
The bass must be held steady, allowing a scale to clearly read first by the MLF official and in full view of the TV camera.
Very defined. Very defined. Anyway, so tomorrow, be on the lookout. We might do some live YouTube segments from the water as we are out to try and, for me, get some topwater action for the first time this year. And here it is, almost July.
Once they say the official weight is...
He's ate up by the rules.
Once you hear the official say, the official weight is, that's it.
You are ate up by the rules.
Oh, dude. Interesting. This is also, you see this happen a lot. You got guys scrambling and stuff. It says, after the official weight is announced, the MLF angler must cease all actions and remove the bass from the scale immediately. Meaning you can't have it dangling there like a Christmas ornament while you re-rig your Ned rig. That's why you see guys that are doing it, and then the guy's like, hey, the fish off the scale.
Hey, by the way, Jason Mitchell, yes, I have been to Beaver Lake. I have striper fished on Beaver Lake. Did the balloon thing. You ever done the balloon thing?
For striper where you float the shad?
Yeah.
I've not done it. I've seen it.
Yeah, biggest one I've caught over there is like, I don't know, not as big as the one that I caught at Texoma. We just never really got into the big ones. They have like 20, 25, even 30 pounders at Beaver, even larger than that. So I don't know what it's like now, but that's the way it used to be a long time ago. Anyway, so tomorrow, Matt and I live, hopefully, for a few segments, and hopefully we get on to some topwater fish tomorrow from Lake Texoma.
This makes a lot more sense. Yeah,
you are ate up by the rules, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, they even go into when you can and can't hop off of your vessel to make a cast over dock or whatnot.
Very detailed.
Because I was like, well, I mean, dude, what's to keep someone from getting mowed down when they hop off on a guy's dock? They even go into that in here.
Yeah.
That would fall into the obscure rule.
Hey, by the way, who is that? Pete. We mentioned it. Merch shop going to be open next week. Hats are on there, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
So
3 or 4.
We'll get you taken care of on the hats next week. Thank you for sending the emails. I know Matt and I have been receiving feedback from guys wearing the BTL merch and having success on the water. That is really cool. And I think that's going to do it, man. You got anything else? We head off to the holiday.
Down the wormhole. No, it should be a good 4th of July.
Good holiday weekend, and we will see what happens tomorrow. What am I doing here?
I have no idea.
Jeez.
What are you doing? There should be music and something shows up on the screen.
Yeah, here we go. We're good now. All right, everybody, be safe. Have a very, very wonderful 4th of July weekend. Matt and I will be back in studio on Tuesday. check out, keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully some live stuff from the water tomorrow. And that's going to do it, man. I'm ready. I'm going to go knock them down this weekend, Matthew.
Good luck. Win. How many games?
16 games qualified.
How many competitors?
Like 80 to 100.
Send me a picture of you in your jersey knocking them down, and I'll post it on the BTL Facebook page, and you can have a lot of well-wishers in your return to bowling glory.
Yeah. Remember, no day 4. Make sure you check out the show that we did yesterday with Frank.
We might be live tomorrow.
We're going to try and be live tomorrow. But
roughly
no
the same
4.
time.
Yeah.
8:30 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, that's it. All right. That's it, folks. We're out of here.